Okay, so picture this. You're busy, maybe working, maybe just reading, and then suddenly you hear, dinner's ready.
Yeah,
It's funny how such a simple phrase can just pull you in.
it really is.
And that kind of got us thinking about today's deep dive. Why is eating together such a universal thing? I mean, it's obviously more than just fuel. We've got research from all different times and cultures that shows this.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is this isn't just some cultural habit. It's like something deeper, something in our evolution.
Right. And, in doing research, we came across Richard Wrangham, a primatologist who studies chimps and how they eat.
Interesting.
And his point is that way back when we were hunter-gatherers, even the act of cooking needed teamwork.
Uh-huh.
Someone had to guard the food and the group, and then someone had to cook. It wasn't like a one-person job.
Right. Eating was social from the start.
Exactly. And then there's Robin Dunbar, an evolutionary psychologist, and his work suggests that fire was super important for how we eat together.
And not just for cooking, right?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting because Dunbar's theory goes beyond just fire equals cooked food.
I see.
He says fire, by giving light and warmth after the sun went down, basically made the day longer.
Okay, yeah.
It gave our ancestors more time to actually interact with each other.
Makes sense.
And what were they doing during that extra time? Hanging out around the fire, sharing food, telling stories, and making their bonds stronger?
Exactly. That nighttime fire created this special space for socializing. And what better way to do that than around a meal?
It really makes you think about how deeply rooted this whole social eating thing is. Like, it's been with us since the beginning.
It has.
So fast forward thousands of years, right? We're not fighting off saber-toothed tigers anymore. We have takeout and microwaves and all these easy ways to eat.
True.
We could easily eat every meal alone if we wanted to.
You could, but...
But Dunbar in 2017 did this study called Breaking Bread, the Functions of Social Eating. And what he found was this powerful connection between eating together and feeling better. And it's not just any kind of well-being. It seems to specifically boost our sense of belonging and connection to our community.
Makes you wonder what's actually happening in our minds when we share food. Is it cooking together? Is it the tastes and smells? Or could it be something even deeper? Maybe like a sense of vulnerability and trust from actually breaking bread together.
It's true. You don't get that same kind of closeness from, say, watching TV together or going for a walk.
You don't.
There's something about sharing food that builds a different connection.
I agree.
But even though there are these benefits, research also shows that more and more people are eating alone these days, especially during the week.
Yeah.
Actually, studies say that a big chunk of weekday meals are eaten alone.
So if social eating has been so important for humans throughout history, what happens when it becomes less common?
Right. Like, what does that mean for our well-being, our communities, even our mental health?
It's definitely something to think about.
Makes you wonder if it's just because of how our lives are structured. Everyone's so busy with work and family and everything.
Yeah, it's easy to just grab something quick and eat by yourself.
And even though that makes sense, it doesn't mean it's good for us, right?
Exactly. And those studies we were talking about, they suggest even making a small effort to eat together can make a big difference.
Like, what kind of effort? Sometimes it feels like family meals have to be this huge thing, and if you can't do that, why even bother?
Well, that's a myth that researchers like Susanna A. and others are trying to bust.
Oh, really?
They say we overthink it all the time. A family meal doesn't have to be fancy.
So, like, frozen pizza in the living room totally counts.
Absolutely. It's not about the food. It's about the experience.
Yeah.
The talking, the laughing, those little moments of connecting.
That reminds me of this one time my family had a power outage during a storm.
Uh-huh.
We ended up having dinner by candlelight peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Nice.
And honestly, it was one of the most fun meals we've ever had. We were all together sharing that experience.
That's a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
It shows how the simplest meals can be the best ones. It's not about how fancy it is. It's about being together.
Right.
But I do wonder, with everyone so busy and focused on technology, are we forgetting that?
I see what you mean. Like, we're already seeing things like virtual dinner dates and solo dining experiences. Like, it's being sold as this convenient, trendy thing. And while there's nothing wrong with eating alone, sometimes I can't help but think about what this means long term.
Yeah, like what happens to that sense of community when we share meals less and less?
It is a little worrying, especially with all of this research about how good social eating is for us.
Mm-hmm.
Could it actually lead to more loneliness?
It's a real possibility. There's more and more research coming out about how being isolated is linked to health problems, both physical and mental.
That's a bit scary. So where do we go from here? We can't just get rid of technology and modern life.
We can't. but maybe we can be more intentional about making time for those shared meals.
Yeah, like even small things.
Right?
Yeah.
It could be as simple as having dinner with family or friends a few times a week, or even just taking a break from work to have lunch with coworkers.
Doesn't have to be fancy, right? The point is to connect.
Exactly. Even just cooking together can be a really nice way to bond and make memories.
Yeah, that's true.
It's about finding those little moments of togetherness that feed not just our bodies, but our souls too.
Feed our souls. I love that it's like this reminder that we're not just going through life alone.
Exactly.
We're all part of something bigger, a community, and sharing food is like the most basic way to make those connections stronger.
Yeah, it is. It reminds us that we're meant to connect, and even something as simple as a meal can do that.
And it's something anyone can do. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. A shared meal can be meaningful, whether it's with friends or family around the table, or even just a quick lunch with people you work with.
It's all about making that effort to come together, to share stories and laugh and listen and connect in a deeper way.
So the next time you hear dinner's ready, really think about what it means.
Right.
Think about everyone throughout history who's done this, who's sat down together and shared a meal, making those bonds stronger and building communities.
And think about this. If eating together has always been so important for us, what happens when more and more people start eating alone? It's something to really think about and maybe change how we live our lives and make time for sharing meals with other people. Food for thought, right?